Hey guys, how's it going? Today I want to speak about the subject of what are human rights? Well, basically we need to understand that as humans, as part of a society, we all have rights. And even basically as a society and as a world, and through even the United Nations and stuff like that, we created a human rights law, which basically says that every human being is pretty much equal, and they have specific rights that are given to every single person as a human being, because they're breathing, they're alive, they have thoughts, they have different things, and they are inherent to our society, and they are also the basics of how we should treat people. And basically they say that no matter how you were born, where you were born, who you are, what sex you are, what age you are, etc., if you're human, basically you are equal in every way. At the same time, it says stuff like we have no right to put people in slavery. We have no right to treat people badly in a way, that we should all treat each other as brothers and sisters. And basically it's all very positive stuff, which in some way kind of makes it strange, because when we think about these laws and stuff like that, and we're saying that everybody is born equal, well, it's not really true, unfortunately, because even though we'd love that, and in a perfect world and on paper it sounds very good, well, there just are people who are born in dictatorships. There are people who are born in countries that will not allow them to speak, or that will, just because of their sex or their age or what they believe or what their sexual orientation is and stuff like that, they're going to have basically very hard times, because, well, basically people are just going to mistreat them and even sometimes put them into slavery and into submitting them into things that they are not really agreeing to, into also manual labors and different things that are not very humane. So do they actually really exist? I think that in the Western world, to a certain extent, we do have that. We do have that kind of idea of basic human rights. But at the same time, it's kind of cutthroat, and it changes and varies from country to country. For example, in Europe, when there are a lot of those people that are basically risking their life to immigrate into one country or another, in Europe again, they're going mostly, like, we've been seeing a lot of people migrating from Africa, and they've been landing in Italy and other places. And the thing is that basically what is happening with that is that we have a human right in Europe saying that if you do make it there, well, everybody's supposed to be treated in a humane way. So they're basically going to accept them, and they're going to find a way to get them to immigrate. Whereas here in America, how we've seen and we've heard very recently, like, people were forcing their way from South and Central America into Northern America, and they were actually separating families, and people were dying, and they're just treating them like crap. And they're even going so far as to say, okay, you want to be put back with your children, we're going to put you back and reconcile you and make your family again. But before you can do that, well, we have to do a DNA test. And by doing a DNA test, we'll be able to say that you're really the parents or not. Well, the thing is, okay, fine, let's do a DNA test. But then the government says, well, you have to pay $1,000, otherwise you can't do that DNA test. Well, how is that treating everybody equally? First of all, if they're coming into America, they don't really have the money. And then secondly, come on, guys, like separating families and stuff and letting people die and starve. And in some way, I feel like, yeah, okay, they want to pocket those $1,000 each for the government, but at the same time, well, isn't it costing you so much money to keep all these people and feed them and incarcerate them and all that stuff? Let's try to find a way. And the thing is, that's the problem with the whole world, is that I think we are very selfish. We have very separate countries, we have very separate governments, and then we have also separation between the upper class, which is rich, the middle class, and the very low poor class. And that's the thing, is that it's very hard to go from one to the other. You can go from poor to maybe middle class, but still you're struggling. You still have to have a job. You still have to have a certain thing. And then if you can get to the upper middle class, it's really, really hard to transition to that basically kind of wealthy type of lifestyle, which is only catered and only limited to a very small, minute amount of people. But either way, the thing is that technically we all have human rights, but realistically, as we can see, still governments will torture people. They will, and I'm not saying just America, I'm saying most governments, they're gonna tap into the cell phones of people and listen to their conversations. They're gonna spy on us. There's cameras everywhere. There's a lot of stuff happening. They do, if somebody is on a watch list or whatever, then you can get tortured and stuff like that. There's a lot of things that can happen. There's a lot of wars that do happen throughout the world, and a lot of them have to do with stuff like oil and riches, and it's again getting the richer to be richer and keeping the power within the wealthy people. And again, that comes down to things such as even banks, where now throughout the world we have all these problems with the banks, where people are getting charged negative interest, or basically a percentage on every single charge that they do on a credit card, debit card, stuff like that. And it's creating havoc because people are trying to say, well, okay, well, if you don't give us any power as a human society, well, let's take the power back by taking all our money back. But we know very well that the money in the banks is limited, even though they are supposed to guarantee it up to $100,000 or $150,000, depending on the country that you're in. Well, if everybody were to take their money out, well, the banks would go bankrupt because they simply don't have the cash, or they'd have to figure out a way of printing money or something to give it to people, but then it would make the money worth less, and then that would be bankruptcy, and that would be crash of all of our economies. So the thing is, human rights can work, and in an ideal world we should have human rights, but at the same time I think that we are a long way from it. It's better. We are getting more equal between male and females, and there's less racism and stuff like that, but we're still a long way from really achieving perfect human rights that everybody should have. But at least it's a good thing that we do have some laws that are in effect. It has made the world better, but it would be nice if the laws could actually be used and properly used and actually taken into consideration, because they are laws. So why are the governments in other countries kind of breaking them, if that makes sense? And I think even us as humans, we forget about that sometimes, and we judge people too fast, and we're not correct. Okay, well, that's it. That's all I have to say on the subject. Have a great day, and I'll talk to you soon.